Hello, hello, this is Too Many Username back with another episode of Beat 'em Up Dissection, and I'm currently in the arcade cab menu. So, for those who don't know, hit F2 on your keyboard during gameplay, and you can access this menu, and you can listen to the soundtrack, sound effects, change the number of players, difficulty, etc. So this game is brought to us by Data East in 1993, and the version I'm playing is the censored version. So the difference is, in the uncensored version, the Japanese version, is the level of gore. So enemies, instead of being colored green for monsters, they are covered in red for blood. And the death animations of the enemies is also a bit different. And there's a lot of death animations in this game. So this first enemy, his head would have been blown right off and rolling towards that family. But not so in this version, but I don't mind this version either. The gameplay is mostly intact. Another difference in this game is cutscenes in between levels. They'll show, I think there's maybe 3 to 4 missing, so definitely check out a playthrough of it if you want to see them all. And yeah, another difference in this game is the hurry up sign. So normally in a beat 'em up game, if you linger around too long, there's a sign that says, move on, go, hurry up. In this one, it's a sign that says go, but in the Japanese version, it'll flip over and it says to hell. So that's a really, really cool detail. I love that. I love that sort of stuff. And yeah, I don't know why when I was recording this footage, it didn't, the profile of the characters doesn't seem to show up, so I'll just make my own annotation, or I'll put the proper annotation in there. So, yeah, I guess I should mention that we're playing Night Slashers, seeing as how it's pasted into the bottom right all the time. So, yeah, this game, a lot of fun. It was introduced to me by a friend one night, and I wasn't in the mood or the mode to play it, which is unfortunate because it's really fun. And yeah, I don't know why the dad in this family is grabbing his son's ass, or daughter's ass, but I digress. This game is a lot of fun. I always knew about it since that night when I first played it, but I'm very methodical when I'm playing games, so now that I've actually had a chance to play it, it's very enjoyable. It's definitely rekindled my interest in covering beat 'em up games, further in the future. And yeah, a little note about this demo. It's set to 2 players because the arcade cab menu is set to 2 players, but if you have it set to 3 players, so you change the toggle, then it'll show different demonstration. So that's cool. What else can I say? Yeah, the gameplay for this game is a lot of fun. I've only played it on the hardest difficulty, and I didn't find it unmanageable. It was actually quite manageable. And I was using 1 player to play it. So it's very fun. It doesn't feel too cheap. You'll know when the game is trying to be cheap, though, because the boss fights can get ridiculous. Or certain boss fights, I should say. And this is one of those games where you have to fight all your bosses at the end of the game. So, yeah, appreciate the extra animations. That's a good way to appreciate the stuff that you might have missed. So now I'm showing the 3-player footage of the demonstration, and you'll see little hints about what moves are available, like tag attack moves, but I'll cover that in the rest of the video. And I know last episode I didn't show off the damage comparison screenshots, and that bugged me when I watched it again, because I'm like, okay, just telling people who's the best in annotated notes is alright, but I like showing the footage. So what I'm going to do is have the screenshots available, and I'll put in annotations for any quirks that I forgot to cover during this narration. And yeah, I hope you guys will appreciate that. I've watched playthroughs of people playing this game, and they just don't play it to the fullest. They don't use everything, and that just drives me nuts. As someone watching a game, I'd like to at least see everything. So yeah, like I said, this is kind of the purpose of the video, just to show off the subtle stuff, or stuff that people should know, I guess, in terms of gameplay mechanics. So, first character, Hung Hua, moves the fastest, jumps the highest, does the weakest damage. In terms of movement, pretty standard. If you jump, you have to commit to the jump. You can't turn around during an attack in the air. Also, there are critical hits in this game. That first hit had this symbol show up, right? And it's kind of random at best. I haven't figured it out yet, but everyone has it and it does more damage. And it usually kills these grunts. So the first attack I'm demonstrating is hold down and attack when in the air, and it stomps people on the ground, and you can do quote-unquote pursuit attacks, which is a boot to the face. And Honghua is different because she can use it again to hit them when they're down, the stomp attack. And there's her neutral jump attack, and there's her horizontal jump attack. They do the same amount of damage, used for crowd control. But the stomp is really good because it can hit a lot of enemies at once, and they're all driven into the ground, so it can buy you time to reposition yourself if you need to crowd control. So her dash attack, everyone can run in this game. They take 4 steps before they stop automatically. And yeah, like I said, there's a lot of death animations depending on the enemy, so they all die a little differently, or they look different when they die. And what's cool is when enemies are driven into the ground, including bosses, they do have an attack that'll hit you in the leg. Everyone has a special attack when they're driven into the ground. So there's that critical hit again. I wonder how it works. But yeah, if you hold the attack button, you'll start to charge up, but if you overcharge, you'll dizzy yourself, but you can wriggle out of it. But you'll notice that it changed color, right? It changed to kind of an orange. There's no difference in damage. So as soon as the circle forms, then you can let it rip. And you have a ground attack, a jump attack, and a special charge grab attack. But the charge grab attack, although strong, it's not the best and most ideal throw. So I don't know if you guys noticed, there's time in this game. There's a timer, right? That wasn't there before. It only shows up a bit later, but when it counts all the way down, it's the old-fashioned heart attack and die. So she has a knee, she has a side throw, she has... what else? Yeah. Everyone gets 4 throws. They get an Irish whip, or like this ringside toss, like they throw the enemy to the left and they just slide across the screen and bump into other enemies. There's bumping in this game, but if you throw enemies into one another, they don't do additional damage, so this is her down and jump throw. So the best throw damage is 2 knees, and then go with the special down and jump throw. Excuse me. And she has very low health, so this is a special technique. Everyone has one. If they're at 50% health or less, you do a full charge and do a fireball motion and release the attack button, you'll get a special technique. So another really cool quirk to it. And there's her charge throw. And yeah, Frankensteiner, pretty cool, but that's the only time you're going to be able to use it, because you can't really charge it mid-throw, and you don't get to use the knees. So doing a couple hits before throwing is the most damage. And this is her regular desperation attack. As you can see, doesn't take off a lot of health from you. It does decent damage actually, and she can steer it left and right a little, but up and down a lot. And this is her magic desperation attacks. But you don't pick up spells or anything like that, you just need health to perform it, and it takes away a lot of health from you. With a full bar of health, you can use it twice. So the ground version and the air version do the same amount of damage, it's just what's your preference. Unlike the other characters, she has one extra, she has an additional ability, and it's when she's knocked down, you can do the spring kick. Now, in an FAQ by Goh Billy, which is really good because it lists every move available, and some of the moves are really like obscure, like I would not have figured them out on my own, so props to Goh Billy for compiling that FAQ. In his FAQ it says that when you're knocked down, do a fireball motion and you'll do a spring kick. That's not the case. Just wanted to make a correction. When you're knocked back on your ass, you can jiggle around the D-pad or joystick, what have you, and then she'll do the spring kick. You can even tap forward timed well and she'll do the spring kick. I was trying to figure out the exact inputs, but you're better off just wriggling around just before falling. And it does decent damage, so it's cool that way. And yeah, I love her attack string because she brings out one of those yellow talisman papers. If you're not familiar with that, I definitely, yeah, I don't know if I can suggest it, but it's kind of from Taoist, yeah, origins. I remember in the 90s there were a lot of Hong Kong films that had to do with ghosts and stuff, and there'd be like these exorcists, and they'd be like kung fu masters, and they'd be using like the yellow talismans all the time, so it's really nice to see that. If you want to check out a really cool movie, check out Magic Cop 1990. It should be on YouTube. It's subtitled. It's very 90s, but at least you'll get to see some cool kung fu fighting with supernatural stuff. Nothing like zombies, but yeah, Asian supernatural stuff is a different flavor. So yeah, I mentioned critical hits. Oh, I guess I should talk about items. There's no items that you pick up and slash with. They're all throw type items, and they vary in strength. There's this item called Stinger that makes your next attack a critical hit, so aim well with it or use it with your magic attack, I guess. I think it actually works for that, but I'll have to check and make an annotation later in this video just to let you know. But there is one weapon, and it's a sword, and I swear it kills. It's like an instant kill weapon. You just chuck it, and it just stabs through people. So any items that are already laying on the ground don't dissipate, so this hot dog stays fresh. This chili dog is awesome. And, oh right, this English version is laden with typos and stuff. I'm trying to show off his slash when he's driven into the ground, but he doesn't do it until a bit later in this footage, but you'll see it. In terms of boss fights, on the hardest difficulty I noticed that when their health is low enough they can summon grunts to fight you, to distract you. And there is, you might be wondering, like, okay, like Final Fight, everyone has attack strings. Can you spam or exploit the attack strings? And yes, you can, but everyone's attack string is a little different in this game, and they vary in speed. The thing that really takes it up a notch that the devs didn't implement in this game to control that sort of spamming nonsense is the hit stun. So in Final Fight you would hit the guy, turn around, but you'd have to turn around right away, you know, to hit them before they recovered. In this game the hit stun on the enemies is so long, like you can take your time beating their ass. So I forgot to mention when he cut my ankle, but yeah, he does. You can stomp him in the ground and they have a while in ground attack. So just to prove a point, yeah, enemies, I think they knew about this though. I think they knew about being able to spam the whole attack string, because after a set number of hits, the enemy will break out automatically. They have like this get off me move. So it's usually by the 10th hit. If they take 10 consecutive hits, it usually shows up. Yeah. So there's his get off me move. So everyone has something like that. Yeah, bosses aren't too bad in this game. Like, I know he's doing a charging tackle, but it's not invincible, which is really nice. So if he's running at you, just stick out a jab and you'll hit him. And as usual, there's a lot of good additional details to see in the boss's attacks. So definitely appreciate that. Like, let them kill you, let them do their moves. You never know what they'll do to you. I've been surprised so many times by seeing what enemies can do if I don't kill them too fast. So now we're going to move on to Chris. Chris is all about the kicks. Because it's a new game, he got a critical hit, smash. There's his dash attack, neutral jump kick, and his jump in, and his special dive in, and his horizontal jump kick. He does a lot of damage for his boot to the face when they're driven into the ground, actually. So there's his charge attack. He gets 2, actually. That's his specialty. If you hold down and let go, then he'll do this driving knee, and it does a lot of damage. Normally it would take a while to kill these grunts, like just one, bam. And this is the hardest difficulty, so you know it does a lot of damage. And his desperation attack, Hydro Storm, Holy Water. I guess he got censored too, because his attack string, he'll bring out a cross as a finisher, but in this game he brings out kind of like a magic ball. And as you can see, he has some sweet, sweet throws. What else? What else has he got? Yeah, he has some really good range, that's for sure. And I absolutely love that throw. And I absolutely love how he does like a little somersault, like backflip to get back up. So there's that Irish whip, does very minor damage, looks silly because the enemy slides across the stage. And there's his down and jump throw. And his charge throw, as usual, does more damage, throw damage alone, but it's not the ideal one to use. Boom! Nice screen shaking throw. I can definitely feel the impact on that one. And yeah, let's see, what else has he got? He's got this freezing special attack, and he's got a wind special attack. The freezing one's interesting to note because there are bigger enemies in this game, and they've given them a different frozen animation, like a bigger sized ice block, as opposed to these guys. Now that I have 50% and less health, I have my special ability activated, and I honestly thought it was just a special run. I was trying to show it off here, like, oh, I run faster. But I never saw it in action because I was trying to use it on a boss, and this is actually what it does. It's a big long string combo that ends in a big throw. So yeah, it doesn't work well on bosses, and you're very vulnerable when moving forward. So that kind of sucks. But it's really cool when you land it. So yeah, and his attacks are a bit slower than Hung Hwa's. He's second place basically. He's like the medium character. Second fastest. Second highest jump. Interestingly enough, every character runs at the same speed though, so you can circumvent that way. And yeah, you can turn around and adjust your attack strings, unlike Gaia Crusaders from the last episode, so definitely liking that. So yeah, you're going to see me get my ass handed to me because there's so many enemies. In terms of the number of enemies, I think there's like 8 to 9 enemies that can appear on screen at once. I never really counted. So there's what, 3, 4? This is the first stage, I guess, so it doesn't really count to see how many enemies can show up at once, but in the later areas of the game on the hardest difficulty, there is a poop ton of enemies that you have to fight. But same principle in other beat 'em up games. If you're going to use a desperation attack and it's going to cost you health, make sure you hit as many people as you can with it. So that's why the weaker version of the desperation attack is really beneficial. It doesn't have the range, but it doesn't take away as much health from you at least. Oh right, I forgot to mention this guy. This guy is the MAE of the game. He is the most annoying enemy in the game. He has so many attacks, he's so fast, he can dizzy you. There is actually a boss fight where you have to fight like 10 of those guys, like just to drive the point home that they know this guy's going to be cheap and he's going to be taking your quote-unquote coins. But yeah, what else does he? He doesn't have a spring kick like Hung Hwa. And yeah, what else can I say? There's a typo with his dialogue with this boss. Meet Tour Maker. Okay, I'll meet the Tour Maker then. And let's just prove that point about that hit string exploit. I mean, you're watching me do this, and occasionally I'll get a counter hit or critical hit, so I'm not too worried. I've got this guy in a pretty steady rhythm. I'm changing it up now and then when I'm counting like his counterattack, so sometimes when they do counterattack you can hit them during it, so it won't count. But you're better off just counting when it's gonna happen. So yeah, he didn't even get a chance to summon his buddies, so that was easy. And you'll definitely see the range benefit that Chris has over Hung Hwa. I'll get hit a few times, but yeah, it hardly matters. Like, that's what makes this game fun. You can play it, you know, like a generic player, just like attack string knockdown, space control, attack string knockdown, jump attack here, desperation attack here, grapple, whatever. But it's cool to play it in a different manner like this. It's just nice knowing that you don't have to worry so much about being frustrated. I'm in control. I am kicking your ass to the max. So that's really all I have to say about Christopher here. I really wanted to finish this guy off better, but I miscalculated his health. No, it was a critical hit. That's what I didn't see coming. So he died. And now we are going to look at American Jake, who has cybernetic arms. Oh, right, cybernetic arms. In his profile, it says he replaced them, but in the ending, you'll see that he has regular arms, so these are just upgrades. He's kind of like Jax from Mortal Kombat. And I know that he has real arms because I've seen his ending. And speaking of endings, there are multiple endings in this game, so depending on who lands the finishing blow will influence the ending, so that's awesome. And that triple slam was his grapple attack, so yeah. He doesn't have a neutral jump, like he doesn't have 3 jump attacks. Well, he does, but he has 1 less than everyone else, and he can also do a stomp, quote unquote, to hit people when they're driven into the ground, but his ground kicks to the face do more damage, and they take less time, so you're better off using that. And yeah, his charge, dash, slice, it's pretty sweet. I'm pretty sure you can recognize the move inputs, so I won't talk too much in detail about them. He's slow, right? He's the slowest of them all. His attack string is 4 hits as opposed to multiple hits, but they hit heavy, so that's a good thing. That's a good way to compensate. In terms of his anything else special about him, right? Everyone has what? A specialty throw, right? Where they hit down and jump. He does not have one of those, and instead he has to press down, jump, and attack at the same time to use it. And you'll see it later in this footage. He'll grab the guy and just like use him as a skateboard, pretty much. His hidden special move with the fireball motion is a big dash punch to an uppercut. It's hard to land, to be honest, because of the input. Also because the enemy can just stuff it, like they can just hit you out of it, and I find it doesn't work on bosses very well at all. So to do it, you have to hit up, down, and attack at the same time, and I find myself doing dash attacks so often. And this move, when it finishes, continues in a run, so bang bang, I keep running automatically, and I feel inclined to do a dash attack, but it doesn't juggle, so this isn't like Gaia Crusaders. So you're better off stopping your run, so he just dashes in forward like crazy. And it's very vulnerable, like I got stuffed by it, so it does good damage, hard to do the input, but yeah, it's in there. Nice little detail. It's always nice to know that beat-em-ups have special command motions, because at least you feel that you have some skill when playing the game, or a higher level of skill is required. What other attributes does he have? He is, slowest, jumps the lowest, but hits the hardest on a lot of his moves. Unlike the other characters, he can carry the enemy around before throwing them around. But one thing I did notice was that when you're carrying bosses around, if you move with them at all, you'll get less of those slams to use. So this isn't like Violent Storm, where you get like absolute control over what you want to do. That made that game fun. So there is some limit to it, but at least it works on grunts. So I can carry you around and do my thing. And quite a few of his throws allow you to charge up your attack after you finish it, so yeah, not bad. I don't mind this character too much. He's pretty distinct. Loving that hair. Can't believe that existed at one point, but yeah. Bang, bang, bang. So there's that special input throw of his. And there I can only do 1 slam, so that was unfortunate. And I just wanted to prove the point. Yeah, like when you do... No, not for this. Yeah, he has a special, this one, that puts them into the ground, but you're only really allowed 2 hits when that happens on the hardest difficulty as opposed to the 3 hits, so minor detail. And I don't know if I'm pretty sure I mentioned it, but when you start with a new continue, your next hit is going to be a critical hit, so guaranteed. That really threw off my damage data that I was collecting, because I had some character die, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to switch characters, I have a save state for the boss, I'm going to use them, collect data, I'm like, man, they're so much stronger than the other character, and why is that? And then I realized that there was critical hits mixed into my data, So that, yeah, I had to go collect it all over again. But hey, that's another feature, right? Another layer to this beat 'em up game. If I'm not mistaken, I wanted to finish this guy off with style. So one of the reasons this video dragged on a bit. And yeah, I'm sorry guys and gals if you have to watch this long video. I didn't mean it to be so long, but you could probably finish watching a playthrough of it. But a lot of playthroughs just don't do the game justice because a lot of players aren't flashy enough, or they don't show off everything, I find. Or they're not ignorant, but they're unaware of all the cool moves available or all the neat exploits in a beat 'em up game. So, yeah. Kicking this guy's butt. Right, when you're carrying guys around, I guess you can push them off. Like, they can break out, but if you're walking with them, then they'll move off screen. But you're better off just using that, yeah, Irish whip move, like the ringside throw. I really want to finish this guy off properly. When you enter from a continue, everyone gets knocked down, but they don't take damage. I think I just decided, okay, they have to die for me to grab this sucker. Here we go. Styling. And that is everybody, but you think it's over? No, because everyone gets tag attacks. And I apologize in advance. I could have done this smarter. I could have changed the menu so that one person would jump, but then I'd have to bring up that menu, and that just totally breaks the immersion. So I'm just going to go with some hive mind here. If you want to do a tag grab, just have one player grab the other one, like the enemy, and have the other player just go and grab the same enemy and press attack, and you'll do the tag throw. Anybody tagged with Hung Hua does the weaker damage. If it's both, and yeah, next in line would be Christopher in terms of damage, and then naturally Jake, because he's the big guy. And if you have Chris and Jake together, then that's the best tag throw between two people. So I'm using Desperation Attack to throw off the rhythm because I have both players being able to jump at the same time. And bang! To do these tag attacks, you jump into another attacking player, so both players have to be attacking. And you can't just both press attack at the same time when someone jumps into the other. Both players have to be pressing the attack button constantly. So, as you saw, when Chris jumps into Hung Hua, they do like a double hurricane kick that throws a wave, weak damage, but it's a projectile, right? And if Hung Hua jumps into Chris, she does this knee drop. It's special though because it does a cross flame animation, and yeah, it's a really subtle detail. I'll show you in the next bit, because it's slightly different when she's jumping into Jake. But yeah, I really could have done this differently just to save on time, but yeah, you get to see what it's like when you have two people playing and you get to notice the speed difference. Oops. Whoops again. This time I got it, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there we go. Sweet. So now we're going to move on to Jake and Hung Hua. So you remember how Hung Hua jumped off Chris and she did this like X explosion? Well, when you jump off Jake here, it'll cause an earthquake and it knocks everyone down regardless of where they are. And the explosion is bigger, but the damage is weaker. So instead of a cross explosion, she does this T explosion. Bang! And everyone falls down on their ass, I'm pretty sure. I could be mistaken, I'll have to check that out. But yeah, cool, subtle detail. It makes sense when they're justifying the damage too. Let's see if we can't see it again. And we'll have to see what happens when Jake jumps off Chris. So, boom! Need a bit of minor crowd control. I was trying to figure out if there was a better way to throw off their jumps so that I could show this off faster, but here it comes. Oh, damn it. More crowd control required. And yeah, more damage when you're paired up with Jake, naturally. So let's see, yeah, when Hung Hua throws Jake, he does like this flying punch. There's this guy stuck behind a barrel right now. You can't quite see him, but he's stuck. And yeah, we're gonna hit him. We're gonna hit him with Jake. Boom. Pretty cool. I love how they implemented that. There's very few games that do, you know, what I call together attacks. So this guy should have been dead by now if that was the case, but yeah, it's just a knockdown move if they're not close enough. So there's Hung Hua throwing Jake, and we are going to chuck him right at that guy and take him out once we get our jump rhythm fixed. So bang. Really strong, big hitbox for Jake actually, so it's not that hard to hit with, it's just hard to set up if you're playing one-player mode with Hive Mind. And predictably, we're going to be looking at the last two guys and their combination. Max damage pile driver, sweet. Too many guys here to set up for that throw. I mean, yeah, the tag team. So, right, it sucks when Jake is carrying the guy because when he's holding on to them, he doesn't let him go, and no one else can grab hold of that guy. So, yeah. Right, you saw the, I don't know if you noticed the screen shake. If he doesn't hit, it knocks everyone off their feet, like that guy. He didn't get hit by it, so fell down. Now he's dead. And yeah, that's it for 2 people tag attacks, I think. Oh, right. Yeah. Chris gets this knee that's really hard to hit with, but it causes dizzy on bosses, so man, it seems like everything has a little quirk behind it. Very cool. Like, all you need is one extra detail to make something cool. So, without further ado, let's look at what the game is like when we got all 3 of them working together. And yeah, there's, in terms of friendly fire, there is very minor friendly fire that I noticed, and it usually stemmed from throws, but I don't think it did any damage, and it didn't knock your fellow players down. So it's pretty friendly for friendly fire in this game. Yeah, and this game just absolutely rocks. I mean, like, you drive in with a van. I bet you their driver is really cool too, but we never get to meet him or her. And it's cool that they gave them, like, you know, the trench coats that they just take off. And there's a triple grab, and to do the triple grab, everyone just grabs hold of the character, the enemy, and it's automatic. You don't even have to hit attack and think like, hey guys, do we really want to throw this sucker? Nope. And here's the difference in walk speed. Predictable. Expected. Jeez. You can only imagine how cheap this trio is when you're exploiting the attack string, but yeah. You'll see additional guys here. You'll see like that Jason looking guy didn't show up before, so when you're playing, if you want to play this game to the max and see everything, I would suggest, like, yeah, play it 1 player on hardest, but also play it 3 player on hardest. So there's a fire guy, never saw him before. His quirk is you can't grab him, and if he touches you, you get hurt. So yeah, there's a rich number of enemies. I never found them repetitive. I just loved beating up the zombies. Like, they're very satisfying to kick ass. And yeah, overall my impression of this game is it's very fun. I will enjoy coming back to it when I recollect data on stuff that I missed out, like, you know, checking out enemy attacks. I know I did that for previous episodes and put that into my notes, but I don't think I'm going to do that because I want to give myself a reason to come back to these games. I don't want them to be just finished and done. And yeah, that is what I've kind of alluded to in the past. Like, it's kind of a side effect if you know the game too well. It just steals the wonder from it, and the game gets too small. But that's why there's so many different beat-em-up games, just to keep the formula fresh, I guess you could say. I don't know if you can have 2 characters jump off of one and if they get another additional attack. I'll let you know in the screenshot footage notes for the damage data, but I'm pretty sure you cannot do 2 characters jumping on one at the same time. That'd be super awesome. but I don't think that's the case. Yeah. So, yeah, as you can see, there's more items, and I picked up the sword. I was really curious at this point because I did not know how much damage it would do, because normally you find it amongst grunts, so this was really cool for me. I'm like, how much does it do? It doesn't seem to do that much damage, to be honest, but it kills enemies like really easily. So, yeah, this is just fun time. Jumping off and doing like random crap. I'm sure this game is really funny when you stomp a guy's head in and everyone surrounds them and starts stomping on their face. Yeah. Fun party game if you can find people to play it, that's for sure. And yeah, this first boss is really interesting. All the bosses are actually really interesting because, yeah, like the less health this guy has, the more random crap he throws at. He'll throw out items. He'll throw out gold, potions, and they do damage to you. Throw out stinger, like critical attack items, whatever. Throw out pretty much everything. Throw out food. So yeah, point to take across is definitely check it out. Have fun with it. Lose lots. You're okay to make mistakes in this game. Try to see everything. Man, that's so hilarious. And yeah. The next section will be the screenshots of the damage data. So, like I said, I'll put up the description of the particular attack, any additional notes that I've acquired, and yeah, I think I can end it on there. I'm just trying to remember if I put anything else, but nope, I think that's it. So, thanks for watching if you've watched this far. Sorry to take so much of your time. I'll let you know next episode if it's a long video ahead of time to tell you to grab some popcorn, but definitely give this game a whirl. I will see you next time on the next episode of Beat 'em Up Dissection. Ta-ta.